Welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast with Don and Suzanne Manning.
A podcast where we share with you great insights about everything family from over 30 years of parenting 7 kids and over a decade of equipping parents through our Crazy Cool Family ministry.
So let us inspire and equip you to build your best family. Hello, all you crazy cool families out there. We are talking to moms the month of May. I've said it a couple times in the last couple podcasts that while Mother's Day is one day in the month of May, I think all of May should be set aside for mothers. And so today I have Madeline with me, my second born daughter. And we are talking through a collection of letters that we've written. It's a PDF. It's a little bundle that we've done. We've created as a resource some content for you as moms for different things that you that we as moms are going through in life. And so I pulled Madeline on because she has got kids that are old enough to be homeschooled. And she has decided to homeschool her children. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit because one of our letters is to the mom who is choosing to homeschool. And so Madeline, say something to our moms and then I'll read the letter.
Hi, moms. Hopefully you're having a great day. And yep, I'm homeschooling today, right now. Not necessarily committed to it through all of their years. But in this season, it feels like that's what God has asked and called me to do. And actually, believe it or not, I really didn't want to do it and didn't think I was going to. Like if you would have asked me when my kids were little, are you going to homeschool them? I would have probably said no. I would have said no. I mean, maybe like a part-time hybrid thing, but I don't think I would be a full-time homeschooling mom. So a lot of my homeschooling is just obedience to God.
What age, what grades are you homeschooling right now?
I'm homeschooling first and kinder right now. And then I have 2 other ones that kind of just that are littler that are 3 and 2, and they just kind of
create havoc and chaos.
They're just kind of there on the days.
And they dump the crayons out. Yeah. And they cut all the papers up. Maybe that's your scene. Maybe you've got some bigs and some littles and you're trying to balance how to give the bigs the education that you want them to have while entertaining the littlers or trying to do that as well.
Yep.
I did that when I did that for a season of homeschooling. I would literally take the littles to a mom's day out, and then we would come home and we would try to rush through as many lessons as possible. I remember that the children did not work near as fast as I wanted them to. Like, you need to get more pages done. Go, go, go. And so the letter that I have written to the mom, to you, the homeschooling mom, I'm going to just read that for you. And then we're just going to talk a little bit about homeschooling to moms. When I was in college getting a degree in education, my grandmother's neighbor told me she was homeschooling her 2 girls, and I thought she was crazy. Why in the world would anyone want to do that? I knew that the highlight of my mom's day was when my sister and I were in school. Ironically, fast forward about eight years from when I graduated and my first child got old enough to homeschool, that I decided that I would homeschool her. I did not homeschool because I didn't trust the school system. I homeschooled because I wanted to be the most influential influence in my children's lives. What is it with us moms that makes us want to mold and shape our children at such a very high level? In a world that does not revolve around Jesus or kingdom mindsets, the Bible or prayer, I knew that I needed to be the one teaching them the important things of life, along with reading, writing, arithmetic, all those things. So adding to the role of teacher to all your other roles like cook, laundress, driver, doctor, etc., you know all the ones, it is not easy. Never getting a break from children's energy is exhausting. Always having to plan every minute of their day is a daunting task. And being responsible for everything they learn can be overwhelming. But if time is our most valuable commodity we have on earth, then who else do we want to invest in it than the little people God has gifted us with to steward? Now that my children are all educated, half of them are raising their own children, I want to tell you, now that I'm on the other side of it, Madeline, and all you mamas out there, homeschooling is worth it. Their childhood just disappears before you know it. And the time that you've invested in your children benefits them and your relationship with them and their relationship with Jesus way beyond any facts that they are taught in the classroom. And I signed the letter. Um, your yes to invest is invaluable, Suzanne. And then I did add a little PS just to let you know that I did not homeschool all 7 of my kids from start to finish. Each season, we asked the Lord what was best for our family, which led to different schooling choices along the way. So do what your family needs. The years we did homeschool were some of the most impactful and relationship building and influential with our children. And so I just want to give you permission as mom. I mean, like Madeline, I guess we homeschooled you till you were in 6th grade, right?
Yeah.
Homeschooled all the girls till they were in 6th grade. Then they did a hybrid school where they went and got taught the lessons, and then 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Did y'all go on Fridays?
2
days a week. And then they came home and we did the lessons with them. And I love that. I love still having them at home. Then we transitioned to a private school that taught Jesus, but they were there 5 days a week. I joined them there later. I mean, I guess did you graduated before I joined you,
No,
right?
you were there for a little bit.
I was there, yeah. And then McCade, and then the little boys, McCade and Michael and Maddox went in when they were in 3rd grade. I found it a little more difficult to homeschool boys than girls. Girls like to sit and color. Boys like to run laps, chew off their erasers, cut things up in tiny pieces and make a mess. And then McCade actually went to school in 1st grade, to the private school in 1st grade.
Ended up in public school.
And ended up in public school. That's right. In 7th grade, we put him in public school, and he finished the rest of middle school and high school in public school. So I would say we did the gamut.
Yeah.
We did it all. We homeschooled, partial homeschooled, private schooled, and public schooled. And I would say that for us in each season with each kid, it worked. I don't know if it would have worked with the girls if I would have put y'all in public school at the time. I think y'all probably would have gotten eaten alive because you were very innocent. Yeah. And so what are Madeline, thinking about homeschooling, thinking about your time, what are the things that you love about it?
Some of them, I love just the connection. Like, about a month ago was my birthday, and the kids wrote me encouraging notes, and both of my homeschool kids said, we love doing homeschool with mom. We love the time that we get to spend with her, because I do have 4, almost 5 kids, and so to get 30 minutes of uninterrupted time with mom where we're doing math or we're doing reading, that actually fills up their little cups, So I love the connection, and I love the flexibility.
Yes.
Of just even some days, I'm pregnant right now, about to have a baby, and there's been days that I just didn't want to do it, and we didn't have to do it, and then other days when we do some more lessons or whatever it is, or, my nephew came in town for a week for his spring break, and so then that could be our spring break. And anyway, just the flexibility of it is also great. Or if we want to, my husband's off work one day for one reason, we can go explore and play. And then I love the things that they're learning, that we're doing math, and we're doing handwriting, and we're doing reading, and we're doing a little bit of science, but there's outside things, I guess, relationally, or with different friends we hang out with at the park, or the books that we're reading. I love the things that they're learning that maybe aren't taught in a school system, like life things, like unloading the dishwasher, knowing how to put away their laundry. And I know you can do that if you have your kids in school, but it feels like taking care of their siblings. They're just learning a lot of life skills at home, and I like that too.
Yeah, for me, homeschooling, one of my major motivators or rewards, blessings maybe, was time being flexible. We didn't have to all get out of bed and out the door by 7:45,
right,
and have breakfast and lunch and everything else like that. We could get up whenever. And I mean, there were days we did school in our pajamas because why not?
Totally.
Or there were days when it was beautiful outside and we just went outside all day. And I feel for the kids that are in the in the system where every single minute of their day is dictated by some that's scheduled. And so they if it's a beautiful day, too bad, they're going to sit in the classroom and look at it out the windows. And so that's, I really valued that, to not have to be, I mean, and honestly, I could not have had 7 kids without the flexibility of homeschooling.
Totally.
Because I mean, just the meals and the just the keeping up with all the things for. I remember one of the ways that I organized our homeschool was that everybody had a color. And so, what color were you?
Green.
You were green. Molly was green too. She loved green, but I knew that you wanted.
She was in school. She was just by the time I was in school.
Yeah. And so there was green. Macy was purple. Mackenzie was red. Michael was blue. And so everybody had a color. And so that was what was. So we knew what their stuff was, because you have a bunch of kids and all of their paraphernalia. We would go back to school shopping. I mean, we would pick out the things we wanted to do that. And we had a space. We did have a room that was our homeschool room, and we would get that all set up.
And there's also flexibility in for me, I'm discovering there's flexibility in teaching the different kids, because I only have 2 students that I'm in charge of. And so I don't have to have like a blanket. This is what I do for kindergarten. This is what I do for first grade. And you get stuck in a system. Like my kindergartner's reading looks a lot different than last year when I taught my first grader now how to read. He picked it up very quick. We did this one book, and that's the same book that I'm trying to do for my kindergartner. It's not working as well. And so I've got the flexibility.
Clicked with her.
Yeah. So I got the flexibility that we're like, okay, like we were going really hard at the beginning of the year, and then it was kind of frustrating both of us. And so we just stopped. We took like a month off of it, and we're like, I'm not going to force this, whatever. And so you can be the flexibility in time, but also the flexibility in educating your kid on what they need, where you push a little harder maybe with one kid who's a little bit better at math, but if that other kid's not as good at math, then you pull back on that math, and you work on confidence more so than being the smartest kid, whereas I feel like sometimes in the bigger system, even in like private school systems or hybrid systems, they are like, this is what you learn when you're done with kindergarten. This is what you learn when you're done with first grade. And we are working on those benchmarks, but we're moving at them more flexibly. And we can, because I only have 2 students that I'm thinking about. So exactly. That's when I can tailor their learning to them and the way they think and the way they work. Anyway, like my kindergartner loves to color. And so we've been trying to learn how to do reading through coloring, learning our sight words through coloring. Whereas my first grader, who's a boy, every time there's a coloring, he asks his sister to do it. Like he never wants to.
Please don't make me do that.
Yeah. And so we don't have to, we in the school system, you have to finish the paper, but we don't have to finish. I'm like, fine, you don't have to do the coloring. I understand you don't like it. That's fine,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I remember when it would have a whole page of them having to write something like a math page or whatever that is. And I understand them needing to practice it. I just remember thinking, okay, you give me the answer and I'll write it for you.
Yes, we do that all the time.
Let me do that for you, because you're going to get it.
Yes.
You're going to get it. And I just think that so many times the education system that we are currently in, that there's a lot of busy work. And that does not have to happen when you're homeschooling.
Totally.
And what's beautiful is that when you're homeschooling and they've mastered something, you can move to the next thing. You don't have to keep doing it. You're not waiting for the weakest link, if you will, in the classroom to catch it on. You're reviewing it, and then you're moving on to the next thing. Oh, check, we've mastered that. Let's move to the next thing. And so you can actually, almost leapfrog into the next things, because you've got that, once again, that flexibility, and your kid and their strengths.
And you can follow, you can still practice stuff, but you can follow their interest, I guess, or maybe like their desire, and so like for a while, all last year, I was trying to get my first, who was a kindergarten last year, I was trying to get him to write, like sentences and words, and he just like didn't want to. But then all of a sudden, somewhere at the beginning of this year, he like wanted to be able to write things. Like he was like, I want to be able to write these words or these sentences. And so he would ask me all the time, how do you spell this? How do you do this? And I just waited 6 months, didn't force him to write. And then now all of a sudden he wants to write, and I can teach him from a place of his own desire versus me, get out your paper, get your notebook, write it. Like he's doing it out of desire. And so I found that too to be really cool with homeschooling, is if I'm patient to like wait for them to want to learn it, they actually do, because learning is fun and is exciting, and they feel it and they know it. And so if I wait for them to want to learn it, Now, not with everything. There's still some things we need to be disciplined on, but I've noticed the more I wait, the more they are excited about it and want to do it. And we just end up learning. Like, we learned how to write sentences and capital letters and periods, not because of the workbook that I gave them, but because of his desire to
Interest
write
in it.
a letter, or
Yeah.
desire to write something on paper.
And know that works with reading as well. That, I mean, I remember me specifically when I was learning how to read, and I just was in the lowest reading group. Do you remember that? I mean, y'all probably don't remember that, but my grade level, we had, or my age, we had reading groups, and I was in the lowest reading group, and I just felt so dumb. And then I think it was third grade, it clicked and I got it. And but it took me a while to get it. And I think the same thing is with our kids, is if we'll be patient with them, continue to present it to them, because the whole goal of, I think, educating completely, but as moms, we get to steward it. The whole goal is not that they learn things. The whole goal is that they love to learn.
Yeah.
That they want to choose to learn. They want to learn to write. Like you said, they want to learn to see how numbers work together. They want to learn how to tell time. They want to learn how to read. And so we're teaching them how to read, not so that they can, not to teach them how to read. We're teaching them how to read so that they love reading, so that they consume books, because books can take them to places we'll never be able to take them in their lifetime. And they'll expose them to stories and opportunities that we'll never be able to give them, even in a classroom.
Totally.
And so, okay, so we talked about some good. So what are some things that you struggle with homeschooling, or ways that you need to motivate or want to motivate, or things that you just don't like, or things that you would say, don't homeschool because of this? Is there anything out there that?
I think in general, I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, I'm doing the hardest possible thing when it comes to our kids, keeping them home with me all the time. Like, in most situations, your first grade boy is gone from 8 to 3 or 4, 5 days a week. And instead of that, I am responsible for filling those minutes, plus the minutes of my 5-year-old and the minutes of my 3-year-old and 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And I also take my kids to little kids day out, and I watch all the moms drop off their kids, and the moms are all leaving without any kids. So they are taking their kids to Mother's Day out, so that from 9 to 2 days a week, they have space.
Right.
I'm taking my kids so that I can intentionally spend more time with my other kids. I'm like taking my kids to the week anyway. So I tell them all the time, like, homeschooling is doing the harder thing. But we were just reading in our little small group last night about narrow is the gate that leads to life, and wide is the gate that leads to destruction. And I feel like that's a promise from God, is like this narrow season of investing in them and giving time to them, and like choosing to help build their character in my home is like going to lead to life. Not that if I put them in school, it's going to be destruction, but in this season, the choosing the harder thing is going to lead to life. So that's one thing that's hard. It's hard for me. I'm like way more type B and not that creative. And so it's hard for me to like I have a couple different friends who are way more on the creative side, and the curriculums that they do are just amazing. And they have all this supplies and all these papers, and they go out and collect acorns, and they are making all this fun stuff. And it just like takes a lot more. They have like, it's just lesson planning. I don't do that. Like, all the books I have are like very much like open and go. You can do it right there. You can take it with you everywhere. And so I think there's like a little piece of that's hard, of like, am I really educating them well, or am I just like checking the box because I don't want to have to spend all Sunday afternoon lesson prepping, I just want them to learn math and reading, So
that's good. I want to speak onto that for a minute. So just mom that's homeschooling, the best thing you can do is learn how you teach and learn how they learn. And so I think Madeline might be mimicking what I did too, because for me, I needed to have a concrete workbook that showed us our progress that we were going through. And so I'd go through the workbook, and then if something fun came up, like we're counting acorns, then maybe we would go outside and grab acorns. Yeah. But I didn't plan it Sunday morning. Okay, I think we're going to do acorns today. And so I was driven by the workbook. And then all the kids, like, they liked having the workbook to do. Like, we would make a notebook, and just to see what was accomplished. So I needed something a little bit more concrete. And so just know, mom, as you're homeschooling, what is it that's valuable to you? What's important to you? What's easy for you? What's a system for you that's going to work? And then how do you incorporate your kids' gifts and talents in the way that they want to do things as well? Because you might have a kid that's pretty a kinesthetic learner and he needs to act things out and do things. You might have that kid that wants to write it out. You might have that kid that needs to sing, or sing the song to help remember it. And so just to kind of pay attention to that, you have the privilege and the luxury to get to do that.
Totally.
Any other?
Yeah, I think it's also hard to juggle it all, like she was writing in her letter that you're already the doctor and the cook and the maid and you're all the things already. And so to add teacher on top of it, that was really hard for me last year when I had a baby. He was like, 6, 7, 8 months old, and then my 2-year-old, and then a 4-year-old. And it was just felt like didn't feel like I was a success on the homeschool days. Like I couldn't give the attention to the big kid, and the little kids were making a mess, and I couldn't do it all. And so I think that figuring out rhythms, but that has been a hard thing, is just figuring out if I can get the little kids in school, if we can do things during nap time. Sometimes we end up just not doing it all day, and we put the babies to bed and we do it at 7:30 at night when it's time to go to sleep, if we didn't finish our lessons or whatever. And being okay with that flexibility, but then also being okay with being adaptable in your day with your other little kids. And so, yeah, I think that was the hard part. It's just not feeling like I could do all the things well, teaching. Yeah. And I still feel like that. Like I still feel like I'm doing homeschool. I'm doing homeschool and we're doing it fine. But I wouldn't say that I'm like doing it great. Because we also are at the end of the year.
Yeah, so spring is nobody. The school system, they're all going, no, we're not. I remember when I taught school, and it was, I taught 6th grade, and the spring was around, and we would, we would do school all morning or do our work all morning long. We would go to lunch, and then in the afternoon we had homeroom, and so I had my kids for the last 3 hours. We would literally go outside for an hour. I remember the principal walking out one day, and I thought, I'm in trouble because I am out here. And he goes, good for you. That's exactly what these kids need. Nobody's getting anything done, and those other teachers are in there trying to, and it was like, but I did want to say something to that, moms, that your secret weapon to having too much to do is to pull your kids in to help you. Madeline's got the kids unloading the dishwasher, sorting their laundry, putting it away. I remember that for me, when I would teach, I'd teach a couple of them at a time, and the others would take everybody else would go entertain themselves. They would take the babies and go play in a room, or somebody would go make, a simple lunch like sandwiches or nachos or something for lunch. And so I delegated my tasks out so that it wasn't me doing absolutely everything. And it's a beautiful thing because it gives them purpose. It gives them identity. They become helpers, and then you ooh and ah over it. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I couldn't have got that done. We just did the hardest lesson, and because you were in there playing with your brother and your sister, then I was able to do that hard lesson with your sibling. And so I just want to encourage you: do not believe the lie that you have to do it all yourself. That you can't. You cannot. You're doing the hard thing by picking up another role of teacher and being with them all day. And so spread your tasks out. And like my husband was at work all day, so I could not incorporate him to help me. But when he got home, he would take the kids. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And y'all would go in the front yard or the backyard, and he would play with you. And I would have 20 to 30 minutes by myself in the kitchen to get dinner ready or to clean up or to do whatever I wanted to do. And so please invite your husband in too, to give you what you need, whether that's a break from the kids or to take the kids or invest in you or encourage you. And then the last thing that I want to say before we wrap this up is to homeschool can feel very isolating. And I think the enemy wants to do that. One of his biggest ploys is divide and conquer, conquer and divide. And so that's what he wants to do. And so as a homeschool mom, I just encourage you to find like-minded moms, like-minded moms. Find a community where you're homeschooling together that you can talk to them. Just the other day, Madeline had a shower and she was sitting on the couch talking to another mom who was homeschooling. And, well, what are you doing here? And how are you working with this system? And and so as moms, we need that. We need right? Like park days and play days, and we need to get our kids around other kids so that they can interact and learn how to share and play and talk nice, other than with their siblings. But as moms, we just need adult time. So talk to me a little bit about that. Like, what is your, I know you're kind of a forerunner. You're one of the oldest in your group, so nobody's homeschooling yet, but you've got a couple. How are you leaning on them?
Yeah, I think that asking a lot of questions to people who've gone before us, different ideas or strategies that they've done with their, little kids. Um, yeah, and we do. I'm like, there's only a couple other homeschool moms in our family that have really, anyway, I'm on
In your community?
yeah, the rest are coming behind us. But
Yeah.
even that has been helpful. They've been asking a lot, the moms that I have that are coming up that have, 5-year-olds in the fall. Why did you homeschool? What was your vision? And so to be able to share with them has been encouraging, because I guess when I planned to homeschool, I wasn't really thinking about like how I would disciple the next group of people. I just was obeying God. Um, so yeah, and then getting to talk to moms about what they're doing and how they're doing it and with the different curriculums. And I mean, I think that pretty regularly I'm asking different moms, okay, how'd you do reading? What'd you do with reading? Why'd you do reading? Because I think that's another cool thing about being a homeschool mom is you don't have to stick to like, this is our curriculum. Like we love it and we're sticking to it. And you can, but you can adapt. And so I'm constantly asking the moms around me about whatever the different co-ops that they're in, or what reading they did for their first grader, or why. And I think that that's helpful because it's just sharpening all of us in motherhood, and sharpening all of us in being a teacher. So yeah, asking a lot of questions. And we've got a group of moms that go to the parks on Fridays, and we go when we can, and different little things like that. And that's something else that I had one of the moms ask me, was like, are you worried your kid's not going to have any friends?
Or social
Or
skills.
social
That was such a
skills.
big
Yeah.
deal. Your child's going to be socially inept.
And I told them, I said, well, like, I want you to think about like your elementary school and your middle school years and even your high school years. Like, how many lifelong friends do you have that you are still connected to that are like soul friendships from the second grade, And they were like, none. And I was like, okay, let's think about college and maybe your church and youth group. How many lifelong soul friends do you have from those seasons? And they were like,
Yeah.
all of them. And I was like, I don't feel like as long as we go to small group and we go to church and we go play at the park with people and we've got community. So I'm like not stressed about the friendships that they're going to make in the second grade, because I trust that they're going to make them, in their life, and they're making them with their siblings. Anyway, so I have a lot of like, that's another place where I lean on the moms in our community is friendship wise, but also that's a question I got asked that I remember laughing at and being like, yeah, I don't think I know, very few people do I know that like are still best friends with anyone from the second grade, And so that's okay. None of those relationships are a waste, but like, that's okay if our kids don't have, that person yet.
I love that. I remember with you guys, everybody always said, well, aren't you worried about socialization? And I'm like, yes, I am. I don't want my second grader to act like the second graders in the world. I want them to be set apart and different, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. I want them to be radically different than all the other second graders in the world. So I am worried about socialization. So I'm working really hard on that at home.
And for the record, whoever was in second grade with me was Macy and Mackenzie and Molly, and they are all my best friends, my sisters. So I did actually keep my second grade best friend.
Yes. Oh, I love it. All right. Well, is there, just to encourage you, moms, it's hard. You're doing a hard thing and it's a good thing. It's so good. We say the truth that we tell you is that homeschooling is a calling. And God, and in Hebrews 13:21, it tells us that God is faithful to equip us with everything we need for doing what He's asked you to do. So if you're homeschooling, it's because you've been called and you've chosen to be obedient, and bless you for that. And God's going to give you what you need. And so I just want to give you permission. If you wake up someday and you're like, I don't want to do this today, this is just miserable and this is hard, then go outside, put some worship music on, play, enjoy your children. Remember that you're the mom and they're the children, and then maybe tomorrow you can wake up and have a day where you want to be the teacher. Is there anything else you want to say to our homeschool moms out there?
You got this. And just continue to seek God on the vision for it. Like my why isn't because I want my kids to because there's something wrong with the school system. My why is because I I want to be with them, and I want to be the main and loudest voice in their life in this season. Um, and so, but next year my why might look different, and I'm going to continue to seek God and ask him why, and then talk to your kids. I've got a friend right now whose child was like, I want to be homeschooled. I don't want to go to school anymore. And so she's kind of rearranging her life to do that for him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same with my son. I've asked him every year. We've sat down and we've been like, do you want to go to school? These are your options. These are some different things we could do. This is public school. This is a hybrid school. This is a co-op, and he's the last, 3 years that we've been doing this. He's like, no, I want to be here at home with you. I really like doing this. And so talk to your kids about it. They might not be the ones that make the decision, but include them in it. And especially if you're thinking about homeschooling, then be like, would you want to do this? Be home with me every day, not be whatever. And yeah, include them. So seek God and include your kids.
And I love it that you brought that up. We did it 1 year at a time. And like we said, we did it different. I mean, there was a few years we did it the same, and then we mixed it up, and we did that for a few years, and then we mixed it up. And so God's got a path, and he knows. And so if it's overwhelming to think, oh my goodness, I'm going to homeschool these kids until the very end, don't worry about that. Give us this day, our daily bread. He gives us what we need for today. And so just choose this year what you're going to do with them, and then reevaluate the next year. And I love that, pulling them in. I would tell my kids all the time, I'm not going to do this because I've had a third grade education. I don't need to do this. This year, you need to have the third grade. You're responsible for your education. You're responsible for choosing to learn and loving to learn. And so by all means, incorporate them in the decision of how they want to be educated, because they need to own it. Because when they own their education, then you as the mom don't have to work as hard to shove facts down them. So, all right, crazy cool homeschooling moms, we love you out there. We think you're amazing. I was going to look it up, but I think we've got a couple more podcasts that we have done on homeschooling. And so those will be in the show notes for you if you want to be encouraged a little bit more than just this. Mm-hmm. All right, go be crazy, crazycoolfamily.com.